Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're just landing here. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Checking in on my usual Friday taping for you all. Couple of things that Spirit is like yapping in my ear about. Gonna go and see if we can get some further insight into. One is this $200 billion in additional war funding for the war on Iran. And the fact that how that ties into the pressure that we're seeing now being put specifically on military commanders. Elizabeth Warren had some questioning in who was this Army Chief of Staff, Randy George, I think his name is, and he refused to say whether or not this whole issue of obeying illegal orders, which, as many of you know, that's what caused this big thing with John Kelly and other senators who came out a couple of months ago, I guess it's been now, and said, listen, military, you do not have to obey illegal orders. Well, now we've got this, Elizabeth Warren was questioning this Army Chief of Staff, George, who refused to say whether or not, like, directly would address the issue of what to do in the event of being, having to obey illegal orders, refusing to say that. I think he gave an answer, essentially said, well, it just depends, we have to go up the chain of command. What does that mean, especially in light of Tulsi Gabbard's testimony at the hearing was day before yesterday, saying, well, ultimately the only person who can determine whether or not something is actually an imminent threat, if there's an imminent threat to the U.S., is only the president himself. What is the purpose of your job? But that also ties into what we're seeing now in military command. Now, some months ago, Spirit had said, as this administration continued to devolve, right, that one of the safeguards that might hold would be the military, that we might even see, military refusals of deployment, etc. But so far as Hegs breath, as many of you call him, Hegs breath is pushing now, for this additional funding. Is that even going to hold? So I want to take a look at what's happening with our military leadership at this time. What can we expect? Will they hold? Will they actually be ready to stand up because of some of these orders that are clearly going to come forward? And there's still no justification for the war going into it, or an exit strategy. Spirit, what can we expect coming in the near future? The Knight of Pentacles. I feel like this is the slow, the diminishment of the military's ability to be a bipartisan force, or a nonpartisan force, to uphold the Constitution. And Ten of Wands, stretched beyond their limits. Because also remember, just as Spirit's reminding me, just as we saw in this in the fight basically between Mark Kelly and Hegseth, that he wanted to go after Mark Kelly's pension and his benefits. Like, if you do this, we're going to take away what you earned. Is that a part of what we're seeing now in the military command? Spirit, are they basically caving because of they're being told, if you don't do what we say, you're not going to get your benefits? We have the Queen of Pentacles who comes up. I think that's Warren's and Judgment. Yes, you all. I really do believe that, and this will come to light. But this is also these military commanders being pressured to go along to get along, because not just in terms of their jobs and their titles and their ability to have their careers, but what would come after that. The Ten of Cups, worried about their families, worried about their futures. Spirit, will we see a backlash from this? Will there be those within the military, within the high ranks of the military, that will say no further? We can't continue to do this. The Six of Swords. All right, that's actually encouraging because we know now we're at the point of troops on boots on the ground. Karg Island. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but the small island now that they're talking about, that they want to go and actually target that and take that over. That's Trump's latest plan. And death. There we go. Okay. If they do this, if they go after Karg Island, let's get confirmation of that. But let me stick where I was going. The death card feels like that's when that's when you're going to finally see is the death toll mounts and there is still no justification and no exit strategy. And that is when you're going to see the military start to really say, okay, we can't do this any longer. We cannot do this any longer. And they're going to rely on the Three of Swords. Exactly. The grief of the families. We're already hearing families contradicting Hegs' breath, saying that they were military families were in line with the go finish the job, do whatever you have to do. And we've had families who have had family members in the military already deceased come out and say, we never told you that. And strength. You all, this is interesting. This Army Chief of Staff, this Randy George, he may have gotten co-opted, right? But there are so many others. And as these commanders who are actively deploying these troops and following through on these orders, illegal or not, for entertainment purposes only, it's going to reach a crescendo where they will recognize that we can't any longer. Spirit, are we going to see also, because that's why, oh wow, okay. Going back to the $200 billion funding, right? Is Congress going to approve that? I'm being told to pick this up. There's a tie. There's a link, put it that way. There's a link between this desperation to push the SAVE Act, which we know is about voter suppression, with this $200 billion funding that Congress is now going to be hit with having to pass. I want to look at whether or not they will pass it, but they also recognize that's why they're pushing so hard for the SAVE Act, because they know they've got to suppress the vote because they're toast. They're toast. They've caved to a point of no return. Absolutely. And so they know the Republican Party is done in November and beyond for who knows how much longer. They're done if they approve this funding. Spirit, will Congress approve the additional funding that Hegseth is requesting? $200 billion or more. Will they approve it? The world. I'm seeing that as a yes in the Wheel of Fortune. And the Seven of Cups. And the Star. I think they're going to approve it, but there will be that Seven of Cups feels like there's going to be some sort of conditions or something that Congress tries to put on that funding. But with these three majors coming, Wheel of Fortune, a cycle of time, it almost feels like I wonder if this Seven of Cups says we'll give you X amount over X amount of time, but then it has to get reviewed again. It's not just going to be a blank check. But at that point, you've got the Star, which is change, and the world. They're going to want assurances. With this funding, Congress is going to have to request some sort of assurances for a more defined time frame to end it, to exit, to get out, because they're saying what I'm getting here is with that Seven of Cups, the flow of money just can't be unending, and that's what that Wheel of Fortune is about as well. The timing. How long, how much more will you want for how long? You've got to tell us more about that so that they can justify it to their constituents. Now, Spirit, is that why they're fighting so hard for the SAVE Act? Because they realize they've got to give this additional money. They basically have no choice. They got to fall in line with that, but they recognize every time they do it, their chances of holding office tanks. Two of Wands, focusing forward on the elections. The Knight of Cups, public sentiment. I'm looking at the Save Act now, and the Ace of Swords. Spirit is confirming. If you're new to my channel, when I read, aces are a yes. Aces are, and especially in swords, communication. So that's my guide's way of saying what we're talking about. You know, the train of thought we're on right now. I'm putting you in it. That we're on right now is in alignment. So that's it. They are scrambling for the SAVE Act because they know that voter suppression is their only hope of. And so this is not just about Trump any longer. This is about members of Congress trying to save their own skin and trying to save, candidates within their respective states. Spirit, will the SAVE Act pass? We know right now there's some reluctance. Will the SAVE Act pass? The Knight of Pentacles, the Nine of Cups, the Two of Pentacles, and the Three of Pentacles. This feels like they're going to work out something around. Right now, we know that the ideally what this administration wants is the whole kit and caboodle. Not just providing ID, but all of the things that come along with that, like having to show your passports and birth certificates, especially from women who have name changes. Like there's all of these, and extending even to eliminating mail-in ballots. There's got to be a change to it. They will not be able to get this through lock, stock, and barrel the way that Trump wanted it to go through. But they're trying to work out Three of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles coming together. They're trying to work out a way to provide, and we're even hearing now that Democrats even are on board with saying, okay, we don't have an issue with IDs, furnishing IDs, but the extent to which you're talking about that and the extent to which it could impact people who have gotten married, etc. Like, come on, we got to be reasonable about it. That's that Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Swords, there's a lot of worry around. They will regret it. Put it that way. They will regret it. Spirit is saying any degree to which this is implemented and put into law still amounts to voter suppression. Point blank, period. So it still comes back to bite them, you all. It will come back to bite them. And there is a growing, and now I'm going to get to that. We know that there is Spirit said MAGA mutiny, right? There is a MAGA mutiny underway right now because you've definitely got the split between the America First folks and the whatever this administration wants folks, the front folks. Definitely a decided split. Here's what I want to look at. I said I think it was my last recording, Spirit had led me to talk about why Joe Kent resigned from the top counterintelligence official, resigned under Tulsi Gabbard, resigned. We know about that. But it was like, why did he have a meeting with both Gabbard and JD Vance the day before he turned in his resignation to Trump, right? What was up with that? Why was Vance in the thick of that? Well, now we're learning that Joe Kent sat down with Tucker Carlson and talked about some things, but we're also learning that Joe Kent has admitted that he was pulled off of the Charlie Kirk investigation. He was told, don't pursue it. Like, when's the last time anybody heard ultimately the truth, really going into the truth behind that? He's saying, Joe Kent is saying, I was told don't go any further, like pull back on that. I think that's why, because we know JD is about to hit the road doing these debates or whatever it is with Erica Kirk for Turning Point. We know that JD in his push to move forward on his career and hopefully have some standing in 2028. He's relying on that faction, the Turning Point MAGA faction, the church Christian, younger Christian nationalists to come over to his side. Well, now, if in fact Joe Kent has come out publicly and said, I was told to come away from this. We're hearing JD try to talk him out of that. Like, please, don't go to, don't get into a fight with this administration. This is not going to be good for anybody. Well, it's because it's not going to be good for him. Spirit. Is Joe Kent's admission of the Kirk investigation, in addition to no imminent threat regarding Iran, is this going to really put JD Vance in a bind? I saw a couple of things, maybe some of you did too. I saw a couple of things yesterday floating around out there that JD's realizing the writing's on the wall, and he may not even make it to a 2028 push. He may not make it. We got the Seven of Wands that comes at the bottom of the deck. All right, I'm going to put that over here. That was his push to try and to get Joe Kent from going full on, with these interviews. It's one thing for him to resign his position. It's another thing for him to sit down with the Tucker Carlson and continuing to be a voice for here's what was really happening behind the scenes, right? Ultimate MAGA loyalist saying this. So, can't say he's some guy who was just out to ruin the administration. He was all in. The Four of Pentacles. This, I'm looking at JD Vance now. He realizes he's getting the squeeze with temperance. He's getting the squeeze with support. And recognizing that he cannot capture the MAGA loyalists and the Kirk loyalists as well, the Turning Point folk at all. He can't get them both. He's recognizing that. And we're hearing that part of it was because prior to his demise, Kirk was saying point blank, we need to back off this situation with Israel, and we do not need to get involved in the Middle East. The Knight of Wands, the Page of Cups. So this is Vance wanting, and the Six of Wands. This is Vance still and recognizing his future really does depend on his ability to capture and grow that Turning Point Kirk et al. Crew. That's what he realizes, but he realizes it's at stake. Four of Pentacles. How's he going to grow it? He can't. Not with this kind of information coming out. Seven of Pentacles. So he's going to have to assess his chances. Spirit, are we going to see JD Vance basically walled out? MAGA Mutiny. Is he gonna have to step back? The Devil. Wow. Wow, is he boxed in? Because the Devil here is recognizing he's already tied to this administration. He's vice president. He's tied to toe the line. He's supposed to toe the line, but he doesn't want to toe the line. And he's afraid of what happens as a result of that. And the Eight of Swords, that man is stressed all the way out. The plan is not going according to plan. The math is not mathing for JD right now, because he really thought, and we saw it happen in the immediate aftermath of Kirk's killing. We saw that JD was Johnny on the spot. Like, don't worry, y'all, this is a terrible travesty, but I'm here and we're still going to continue to do this together. The Empress. A lot of this is coming down as well to Erica. We know that this administration has been they gave her some weird title or whatever because they're trying to keep her on board as well. And that, you all, is the Devil dichotomy as well. This administration recognizes they're playing two sides with Erica, because they're saying, look, stick with us, be nice, play with us, and so we will keep that portion of the crowd. But they ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. They're out. Spirit, are we going to see this, the Kirk faction, the younger faction, the Turning Point faction that Vance was relying on, we're going to see them walk away? and or come up with their own candidates. Five of Swords, very, very disenchanted. And the Fool. Okay, thank you. Crystal clear answer, you all. Vance is going to lose those people by virtue of the fact that he can't rebel. He has to toe the line to a certain extent anyway. Yes, he's been really quiet on Iran, or as quiet as he's been allowed to be, right? But he's also got to get out there increasingly, especially as this year goes on and beyond, to say one way or another what his stance is. So the turning point, folks, at all, the young MAGAs or the younger MAGAs that grow, because that's they're not going anywhere. They're still going to be very extreme right, but they need somebody new, and they're going to be looking for somebody new, and they don't know who that is yet. Five of Swords, but that ain't JD Vance. That ain't JD Vance, you all. Don't be surprised. Let's keep our eyes on him. Don't be surprised. Spirit has always said his career was going to be cut short one way or another. But don't be surprised if he winds up having to get essentially forced out and not even being a factor in 2028. That's going to be a really interesting thing. I also am being led to ask Spirit, will Joe Kent continue to be a voice? Is he safe? Is he going to continue this MAGA mutiny? You know, Kent, the Tucker Carlsons, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, are they going to mount an oppositional new MAGA or different kind of MAGA party? Six of Cups, Seven of Pentacles, I think so. It's and the Six of Wands, I think so, you all. But it's not solid. Like these are no, I look for major arcana when I'm looking for something big that's going to land with people, that's going to have a lasting impact. And this is not that. But I do think there will be just enough momentum happening around these now defectors like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like Joe Kent. Tucker Carlson always sitting on somebody's fence. The Knight of Wands. Yeah, they're just trying to figure out how to go about it. And the Moon, because they want to do it secretly. They don't want to be too openly confrontational, right? In terms of saying, not only will we talk like a Joe Kent, not only will we tell you what has happened here, but we're going to do something about it. It's the do something about it that they're trying to be really, really careful about. And that's also why we got that, and the Empress. Woo, a lot of this is going to depend on Erica Kirk. Or not depend on, but all eyes are on her. Because she is still, Spirit is saying, remember, she is still the extension, good or bad. She is still an extension in a lot of these followers, call it a cult, or, the cult of Kirk, or whatever, turning point, whatever you want to call it. But she is still the face. She's the CEO. She is the face of it. And so a lot of this is going to depend on Spirit. Will she try and save JD Vance? Or will she, Ace of Swords? She's going to try and save him. Wonder why, right? Wonder why. She's going to try and save him, at least for now. But the deception around it, it's not going to hold. People will not believe her. She's not going to be believable because the idea of where she really stands with Vance is already been put out there, and they saw it. The turning point folks they saw it. They're not, they play dumb, but they're not. In the Three of Cups, this almost feels like a anniversary of around the anniversary of Charlie Kirk's killing. We're going to see something pretty major around Erica, Queen of Cups. We're going to see something pretty major around her. And it could even be that that's what Vance is counting on, is doing something spectacular around that time to observe the anniversary of his death, of Kirk's death. Is that what I'm seeing, Spirit? The Ten of Wands. But there will be too much pressure having built by then, the Sun. There's too much pressure against this administration too much disenchantment with this administration by the time that Erica and JD try to get together and monopolize on or use the anniversary of Kirk's death to their advantage. There's too much other damage that's already been done, and I think that's again why we're seeing Vance's demise. Page of Pentacles, Seven of Wands, Page of Wands. There's going to be some other people within and the Four of Wands. There will be some other people within the organization, within Turning Point, that could even be trying to identify others who would back Vance and Erica and sort of be a voice. I also am getting from this, it could be more podcasters and influencers, social media based, because that's how they get a lot of their information. But again, it is not going to go in and the Four of Swords. They want that messaging and that clarity, but there's a slowing down. Four of Swords is a stop, pause, wait and see energy. And so essentially what this looks like is dissipation to me. There's nothing solid for them to gather around or hold on to. Justice. Yes. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for the confirmation. There's too much that is coming to light. That's why Spirit had me write down Joe Kent / MAGA Mutiny. Not saying he's leading the mutiny, but that all of this is, there's just a lot of precipitation around why this movement, the MAGA cult, is disintegrating. It is disintegrating. And this is going to become increasingly, rather than Trump and his movement or his people against the structures that have created democracy, now the numbers are dwindling, and you're just looking at an administration, those numbers now with no backing, no solid backing, no backing in the numbers certainly that they had through organizations like Turning Point, etc. So yeah, Vance is gone, and people like Joe Kent, we're going to see more that comes out around that. I'm not getting that the Kirk investigation is going to get reopened anytime soon, but just the knowledge that it was shut down is going to be really, really damaging. Keep your eyes on the SAVE Act, you all. Something's going to pass, but it's going to shift in some way. Fetterman, I'm not even going to look at him. I don't want to go into his energy right now, but there's a problem there. There's a real problem, and I don't know if it's health related. I don't know if there's I don't know. I don't want to put it out in the universe, but the fact that Markwayne Mullins confirming or putting it through to the Senate came down to a 8-7 vote, and you had a Paul Rand say no and join the Democrats, and then you had Fetterman go with the Republicans to get it over the finish line to 8-7 to go ahead, and Markwayne Mullin is going to get confirmed. I don't even have to go to the cards for that. He's going to get confirmed. But what he is about to inherit, you all, that's going to get really, really interesting. We'll definitely take a look at him as well. And by the way, before I close, it is now live on my website, which is trulytouchedbytarot.com. All right, www.trulytouchedbytarot.com. Practical Magic Using Tarot Part 3, the last part of my series, going to be next Saturday, the 28th. I know that is No King's Day. It's 4:00 Eastern, so it'll be a little later in the afternoon for those on the East Coast or near that are doing protest related activities. For those on the West Coast, I recognize, a lot of people have got their, by all means, got to do what we got to do, but that was the only day available in my schedule to be able to do it, and I wanted to make sure and offer that to you. So, and it will be recorded. So if you're going to be out doing No King stuff, but you're still interested in the class, it will be recorded. You can get the recording. All right. So yeah, check out the website, and I'd love to have you on board. www.trulytouchedbytarot.com. And also, if you're interested in booking a reading with me, you can do so. All right. So check out the information around that. Have a really good weekend. Take good care of yourselves. Remember, sky above us, right? Earth beneath us, holding us solid. And keep those chins up. Keep them up. Shoulders back. And remember to come from your heart. Breathe. Know that your spirit is alive and well. no matter what. All right. I'll talk to you real soon. Take care. Bye.